Hey guys, it's Dr. May. How are you? Okay, today we're going to do an interpersonal effectiveness skill that is really helpful in a lot of situations. So this is the famous Dear Man skill that's important for assertiveness and asking for things that we want. And it's good for a more complex request that requires a little bit of articulation and explanation. So we're going to go over that today. All right, so here we go. Okay, so quick review, what's interpersonal effectiveness, right? So it's basically about improving our skills in relationships. So getting along better with other people and learning how to get our needs met and to keep good relationships and to preserve our self-respect. So today's skill, which is Dear Man, is about getting our needs met or our wants met, serving our objectives, okay? And just to keep in mind though, that there's never a guarantee that using this skill will get us what we want. So if you try it and it doesn't work, you can't get your money back, okay? All you can do is try. But it might increase the chances that you'll get what you want because you'll come across in a calm, assertive manner and people will be more likely to listen to you, okay? So because this is related to assertiveness, I just wanted to define assertiveness first. So in a nutshell, assertiveness is when we're calm, right? So we're managing our emotions during the interaction, right? We're trying to keep it calm, cool, and collected, so to speak. We're being direct about what we're saying. So you might need to plan in advance to be really clear and direct. This is about knowing that we actually have to say it and that people can't just read our minds, right? Sometimes we think like if someone really cared about me or someone really knew me well, they would just kind of like magically know what I want, but that's not always the case. A lot of times, we really just need to say what we need directly. And it's also about being respectful. So, you know, when you want to get something from somebody and you want them to help you, it's important to show them respect. Otherwise, why would they want to help you? Right? They'll just blow you off. They'll say, screw that person, this being a jerk. I don't want to help them, right? So we need to be respectful to the other person and also demonstrate some self-respect. And just by the fact that we're asking to get our needs met, self-respect, because we feel like if we're doing it, our needs are worth asking about, right? Or requiring help for. Okay, so Dear Man, what does this stand for? So describe situation, express your feelings about it, assert your need by being specific about what the need is, rewarding the other person by making it worth their while. And then after you get a response, you need to stay mindful, like stay focused on what your objective is. Don't let the person kind of sway you off track. Appear confident, right? So fake it till you make it and negotiate if you need to, all right? Because you may not get exactly what you want, but maybe you'll get part of what you want. Okay, so we'll go over this in a little bit more detail just to make sure we got it. All right, so this is the part, the first half is the startup. So when you first approach the person or the people to make your request, you know, you need to give a little bit of a speech of explanation. So the dear is kind of what you need to include in that speech to make it work for you, okay? So first thing, describe. So if you remember from mindfulness, observe, describe, and participate are the what skills. And describe has to do with being non-judgmental and just clear about what the facts are. So you just want to say what the situation is in a nutshell without inserting your opinions and judgments and, you know, all that kind of stuff. All right, next, express. So in addition to describing the facts, which is a little reasonable mind, you want to express the way you feel about it, the situation, or the request itself. And that's inserting a little bit of your emotions in there, right? So it's a little reasonable mind and emotional mind kind of mixing together for a wise mind presentation, right? All right, and it helps to use I feel statements. So I would feel such and such way if this happened for me, okay? Next, assert. So this is about the actual asking itself. So be really clear about what it is that you want or why you need to say no to something, or maybe what your needs or preferences are so that the other person is on the same page as you. And if you need to make sure that they get it, maybe just ask them to repeat it back to you or try to like, you know, make dialogue about it, make sure they're clear on what your request is. Okay, and again, don't assume people could read your mind. You just got to say it. All right, then reward. So see that thing on the left that says, what's in it for me, right? If someone's supposed to help you out or do you a favor, they may want to know, like, why should they help you? Like, why is it good for them? Okay. If you ever read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, there's a lot of stuff in that book about this, right? And they say that the best way to get someone to do something is to get them to want to do it, right? So that's the what's in it for me. It's like using a sales pitch, right? Like, why would someone want to buy your product? Only if they think it's good for them. They don't care about you making a profit. They want to get something that's good for their life, right? So the same kind of thing if you're asking for a favor or a request. So let the other person know how he or she could benefit by giving you what you want. And it's also rewarding to the person if you're being polite and respectful and appreciative for them even listening to you or to taking the time to, hear you out. Okay. So make sure that that's coming across, right? They don't owe you anything, right? They're kind of doing you a favor by listening to what you want, right? They're going to help you out, hopefully. And it always pays to say thank you, right? Especially if they say yes, but even before they say yes, well, thank you for hearing me out. Thanks for listening, right? And thanks for your time. Stuff like that could be rewarding too. All right, so now, after this point, you should get some kind of response from the person. If not before, if they're interrupting you, you might hear something before. But so after you ask, they're going to say something, and they may say yes, and the whole thing's done. But they may, ask more questions, or they might be rude to you, or they might bring up old stuff, or they might distract you with other kinds of things. So now you have to deal with their response. Okay, so that's the next challenge. The first challenge is putting your request into words, but now this challenge is how do you deal with the interpersonal interaction that's coming during this request that I'm making? Okay, so that's what the man is all about in Dear Man. Okay, so first, stay mindful, right? So one of the things about mindfulness is focused attention, right? So we're going to focus our attention on our request and make sure that that doesn't get lost in the conversation. If the person's bringing up old stuff, oh, but you know what, the other time this happened, and then when you did this, or I didn't even see you finish this, like things might kind of go awry. So you just got to be really clear on what your request is, and if you have to repeat it, bring the person back and repeat the request. Kind of like if you were doing a mindfulness practice and you were focused on your breath and then you got distracted, what do? You bring your mind back to your breath, right? So if you make a request and the conversation gets off track, you just bring the conversation back to your request. Okay, so that's about the staying mindful during the negotiation phase or the conversation phase after you request the thing. Okay. Next, appear confident. So you may not feel very confident, but if you could try to like fake it till you make it and appear confident, that could help, right? Because if you're really wishy-washy about it, or you kind of ask as if you don't really deserve it anyway, the person might say no, especially if they're on the fence. One time, I'll tell you a quick story, a long time ago, I was doing a lot of online dating, okay? And I dated this one guy, and he was kind of, insecure, a little nerdy and stuff like that. And then after the date was over, he said, "You don't really want to go out with me again, do you?" Right? So that's not really appearing confident, right? It's kind of like he already was expecting the no. So if you're going in almost expecting a no, the person might just give it to you, okay? So you got to believe you deserve the yes. So part of you needs to use your body language, tune into what your body's doing, and try to shift it so that you appear like you know what you're doing, or you know what you're talking about, or that you came here believing that it's okay for you to get that thing that you're asking for, okay? So watch your body language, your voice tone, give eye contact, right? If you need to pump yourself up beforehand, use some encouraging self-talk before the Dear Man starts, okay? So all this helps with the appear confident. All right, then finally, negotiate. So negotiate is important because you may not be able to get exactly and completely what you're asking for. Sometimes you might have to give a little to get a little, or you might have to get a different option you didn't consider, but the option might still be acceptable. I mean, there's still times when you may not get your request at all, but sometimes if you're a little flexible, you can get something that's workable anyway. So it's really important not to be rigid here, okay? So listen to the other person too, be fair, and see what you can work out with that person. So maybe there's something workable for both of you. Okay? So now it's important for us to do an example. So I know this is a whole lot of words on the page. I generally don't like to do that, but I wasn't sure how else to do it to make it super clear. Okay, and I wanted to make sure I was on track doing each point correctly also. All right, so in this example, let's pretend I'm a teenager, okay? Well, of course I am, but just kidding. Anyway, so let's say I'm a teenager, I'm in high school, and my friend Jane is having a party, and I really want to go, but I want to stay past my curfew because it sounds like it's going to be a great time, and I don't want to come back at midnight. I'd rather come back at 1 if I can, right? So I decide to sit down with my parents and try a little dear man to see if I can get my curfew adjusted to 1 o'clock for this party, okay? So let's see how this fits into dear man. So D, describe. So describing the situation, my friend Jane's having a party Saturday night with some people from school. Her parents will be home, and I'll have my cell phone with me, right? So those are some facts that I'm sharing with my parents as I'm describing the setup. Express, how am I gonna feel about this? If I'm allowed to go, it would make me feel happy to be able to be trusted, to be responsible, and spend time with my friends. Okay, right? So that would be nice. Assert. So this is the actual question I want to ask. I would like to stay out till 1 o'clock, which is an hour past my curfew. Reward. What's in it for my parents? I really appreciate your listening to my request. And if I go, I'll text you once an hour so you don't have to worry about me, right? Because one of the hesitations with parents, right, is they're afraid something's going to happen. They don't want their kid to be hurt. They want everyone to be safe. Okay, so I'm going to reward them by taking some of their worry away by agreeing to keep in continual contact with them during this extra hour of curfew. Okay, or maybe during the whole night, perhaps. Okay, so let's say the black section in the middle is the response I get. So let's say my parent says, well, but last year, you stayed out late and came home drunk and I was worried all night. Okay, so they're throwing a wrench in it, making it a little hard for me to get my needs met, maybe, right? All right, so but I had to stay focused on my request, not get distracted by old stuff. So I'm gonna stay mindful and say something like, all right, I acknowledge that I did that last year, but I've matured a lot since then. I haven't had any problems at parties this year. Maybe I could give some other examples of mature and responsible things I've done to help make my case, right? I couldn't fit it all in this PowerPoint here, but you see what I'm saying? But I still would like to stay out to 1 o'clock this time. And meanwhile, I'm appearing confident, hopefully, not losing my cool just because, my mom or dad just said, oh, last year, da-da-da happened, right? I'm trying to stay confident. My request is still valid to me. I still think it's appropriate, okay? So don't get too distracted by their reaction. Finally, maybe I can negotiate. Maybe they said yes, but if they didn't, maybe I'll say something. All right, well, if 1 o'clock's a little too late, could we agree to 12:30? Maybe meet you halfway, right? Another thing I might say is, what if you let me stay till 1, but I'll agree to call you if the party's not going well and leave early. So, if there is an issue, I'll be responsible and I'll tell you, all right, it's 11:30, things are getting a little wild here and I think I need to go home, right? So that might sweeten the deal for my parents too. It might be a reasonable negotiation if they let me go to 1. Okay, see how that works? All right, so I hope you got the gist of Dear Man, right? So this could be used for a lot of different things when the request is more complex. So I hope you give it a try, right? And I hope it increases your chances of getting what you want. All right, guys, have a good day and I'll talk to you soon. All right, bye now.